Okay, let's unpack this. Did you know that the global lipstick market, something, many of us might think of as just a simple, everyday item, well, it generated over $10 billion in sales just a couple of years back.
It's a pretty remarkable figure when you think about it.
Absolutely. So today, we're taking a deep dive into exactly that,
Right.
the vibrant, ever-growing world of the global lipstick market.
And what's really fascinating here, I think, is how much these numbers tell us about, well, far more than just beauty trends.
Right.
Our mission with this deep dive is really to unpack a comprehensive market forecast report. We want to reveal not just the current size, how big this industry is right now and its projected growth over the next decade.
Which is pretty significant.
Exactly, but also some truly surprising regional differences. And these differences sort of paint a vivid picture of global consumer shifts.
Yes. We want to give you a quick, comprehensive understanding of where this market is heading and maybe more importantly, why. So to give you that initial big picture, back in 2021, global lipstick sales revenue hit an impressive $10.2 billion.
$10.2 billion. Just let that sink in for a moment.
Yeah. And by 2025, it's projected to climb to over $12.4 billion. Then looking further out, by 2033, we're talking about a staggering $18.4 billion.
Wow.
That means a global compound annual growth rate, or CAGR, of 5.04%.
Which, for a market of this scale, a global scale, that's actually very healthy, sustained growth.
It really is.
And if we connect this to the bigger picture, these aren't just dry figures, are they?
Not at all.
A consistent 5% global CGR for something like lipstick, it actually reveals a lot about underlying consumer trends, economic resilience maybe, and definitely evolving cultural preferences worldwide.
Yeah, it highlights the enduring appeal and, let's face it, the significant economic impact this one seemingly small item has.
Absolutely.
All right, so let's zoom in a bit and get into the regional revelations, because this is where it gets really interesting, I think. You start to see the nuances.
Okay, where do we start?
Leading the charge, and by quite a significant margin, is the Asia-Pacific market, APAC.
Right.
In 2021, APAC sales were already nearing $3.7 billion. But get this, it's projected to almost double.
Double.
Yeah, to over $7.1 billion by 2033. And it boasts the highest regional CGR of about 5.67%.
Okay, 5.67%. That's huge. So that raises an important question, doesn't it? What's truly driving that dominance in Asia-Pacific?
Exactly.
Because within that powerhouse region, you've got China, a monumental player.
Oh, absolutely. China leads the region. Sales there were over $1.4 billion back in 2021. They're projected to approach $3 billion by 2033.
With a CAGR over 6%. Really robust.
It is, and our sources suggest this continued growth is fueled by, well, a rapidly expanding middle class, naturally, but also the immense influence of digital commerce and, social media beauty trends.
That makes sense. E-commerce is a big factor everywhere.
And if you thought China was impressive, look at India. India is showing even stronger growth, almost explosive, you could say, leaping from around $675 million in 2021 to a projected $1.37 billion by 2033.
Wow, so that's more than doubling too?
More than doubling, yes. And that translates to the highest individual country CAGR in our source, 6.157%.
6.157%. That's really something. So what's behind India's particularly rapid ascent? Any clues?
That's a fantastic point to dig into.
Yeah, our sources indicate this rapid expansion in India is heavily influenced by, well, several key factors working together. You're seeing increased urbanization, a booming young population with growing disposable income.
Right, demographics.
Exactly. And the widespread adoption of e-commerce for beauty purchases. This is crucial because it makes products much more accessible, even in what are sometimes called Tier 2 and Tier 3 cities. It really broadens the market reach.
Which is not just the big metros anymore.
Not at all. And beyond these two titans, China and India, you've got other key markets in Asia Pacific, like Japan.
Still significant.
Very. Japan's looking at about $420 million, going up to over $740 million. South Korea, too, moving from $220 million towards $350 million. And Southeast Asia as a whole block.
Growing strongly, too.
Yeah, collectively adding billions more to the region's total. Their growth rates are generally solid, mostly exceeding 4%, like Japan's over 5%. South Korea a bit lower, around 4.4%, and Southeast Asia around 4.9%. So the whole region is just humming.
Okay, so having seen that explosive potential in Asia, it's worth noting how that contrasts, maybe, with the more mature but, still robust markets, Let's shift our focus over to North American trends.
Right. Different picture there.
A bit different, yeah. While it's not seeing that same level of explosive growth as parts of Asia, it's still a substantial and very healthy market.
Wow.
Overall, North America's lipstick sales were nearly $3 billion in 2021.
$3 billion. Okay.
Expected to reach over $5 billion by 2033. That gives it a CAGR of around 4.6%. Still very respectable.
Absolutely. And I assume the U.S. dominates there.
Unsurprisingly, yes. The United States remains the powerhouse in North America. Its market is growing from $2.3 billion to well over $3.9 billion by 2033.
Which highlights its, enduring position as a key global consumer market. Steady growth.
Steady is a good word for it, yeah.
Yeah.
Around 4.5% CAGR. Canada also shows strong growth, moving from about $409 million towards $725 million.
Right.
Actually, Canada's CAGR is a bit higher, almost 5%.
Interesting.
And Mexico is likewise a significant contributor, seeing its market grow from roughly $219 million to approach almost $387 million by 2033. That's about a 4.8% CAGR.
So pretty consistent expansion across North America then. It suggests stable demand, maybe driven by, established beauty routines and perhaps constant product innovation, keeping things fresh.
That sounds plausible. Now moving across the Atlantic, Europe. Here we see some fascinatingly diverse dynamics within the region.
Okay. How does Europe look overall?
The overall European market was roughly $2.25 billion in 2021, projected to grow to almost $3.9 billion by 2033. That's a CAGR of about 4.85%, so fairly similar to North America overall.
Okay. But you said diverse dynamics.
Exactly. Because if you look country by country, Germany stands out with quite strong growth. It goes from about $456 million to over $833 million. That's a CAGR of 5.2%, higher than the regional average.
Higher than the U.S. even. What about the U.K.?
The United Kingdom also shows solid expansion, about $245 million up to $440 million by 2033. Again, a strong CAGR over 5%. So what's driving this particularly strong performance in places like Germany and the UK?
That's a great observation. Our sources suggest that in Germany, for instance, there's a strong trend towards maybe high performance or perhaps sustainable, eco-friendly beauty products that could be driving consumer spending.
Right, value-added features.
Exactly. And the UK, similarly, benefits from a really dynamic beauty retail landscape and a very strong digital presence. E-commerce again.
But there's always a but.
There is. If we look at Italy, we see a different story. It's moving from about $105 million, maybe $106 million, up to $151, $152 million. But the CAGR is the lowest in Europe that we have data for, around 3.6%.
Significantly slower. Why might that be?
Well, it could suggest a more mature or perhaps saturated market, or maybe just different cultural preferences where lipstick consumption patterns are more stable, rather than rapidly expanding like elsewhere.
Makes sense. And other key players, France, Russia.
Yeah, they also contribute significantly. Russia's projected to go from around $292 million to $475 million. That's about a 4.4% CAGR. And France, from $230 million up towards $366 million, a bit slower at around 4.2% CAGR. So still growing, but more moderate compared to Germany or the UK.
Got it. Okay, and looking south now, the South American market seems poised for quite a significant surge, actually showing some of the highest regional growth outside of Asia-Pacific.
Really? What are the numbers there?
Its overall market was just over $624 million in 2021, but it's projected to more than double, hitting $1.36 billion, almost $1.4 billion, by 2033.
Wow, another doubling.
Yes, showcasing a high CAGR of over 5.2%. And Brazil is certainly leading the region there, growing from about $215 million to over $477 million. That's a 5.3% CAGR.
Okay, Brazil leading the way, but you said surge. Anywhere else standing out?
Colombia. Colombia is really exhibiting robust growth within South America. It jumps from under $50 million in 2021.
Small base, but...
to over $110 million by 2033. That's an impressive 5.38% CAGR, even slightly higher than Brazil's.
Okay, so that rapid expansion in countries like Brazil and Colombia, it really suggests an emerging market dynamic, doesn't it? Increasing disposable income, maybe a burgeoning interest in beauty products?
Likely fueled by a younger demographic and, again, increasing access to products.
Makes sense. What about Argentina?
Argentina is also a notable contributor, growing from around $77 million to $157 million. Its CAGR is a bit lower, around 4.5%, but still solid growth, more than doubling the market size.
Good overview. So that leaves the Middle East and Africa.
Exactly. Finally, let's look at their contribution. The Middle East market generated about $415 million in 2021, and it's expected to increase to over $656 million by 2033.
Okay, so growth, but maybe not as dramatic.
Right. The CAGR is slower here compared to other regions, about 3.3%. Saudi Arabia is the largest contributor within the Middle East, going from $163 million to over $261 million. Turkey also plays a role, $98 million to $151 million. Both have KGRs just over 3%.
And Africa.
Africa's lipstick market hit about $247 million in 2021, projected to reach over $409 million by 2033. The CGR there is a bit higher than the Middle East, around 3.9%.
And key countries within Africa.
Nigeria is showing good growth, expanding from about $63 million to over $106 million by 2033. That's a CGR over 4%. South Africa is also a significant market, $109 million going up to over $176 million, with growth around 3.8%.
So these regions, the Middle East and Africa, while maybe smaller in overall volume compared to, say, APAC or North America, still represent important emerging opportunities for future market development.
Absolutely. Potential for growth down the line. So what's truly fascinating, I think, when we draw these comparative insights together is the incredible range of growth rates and what they reveal.
Totally agree. You've got Asia-Pacific, clearly the dominant and fastest growing region. India and China are undeniable powerhouses there.
Driven by factors we talked about, increasing urbanization, e-commerce, demographics, their KGRs, especially India's over 6%, are really signaling rapid market penetration and expansion.
Yeah. But then, in contrast, you have countries like Italy in Europe with a much lower, say, 3.6% CAGR, or even the overall Middle East average around 3.3%. It suggests maybe a more mature or even saturated market in some places where growth is more incremental.
Right. This wide variance, it tells us so much about evolving beauty markets globally, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Influenced by everything from demographics and rising disposable incomes to specific cultural preferences and, crucially, digital adoption rates across different economies.
It's not just about more people buying lipstick, though that's part of it. It's also about how and why those purchases are increasing or maybe stabilizing in different parts of the world. It's a complex picture.
Definitely. So, bringing it all home, what does this all mean for you, the listener?
I think the key takeaway here is that the global lipstick market is in a remarkably healthy shape. There's sustained growth, a clear upward trajectory over the next decade.
No question about that. And the Asia-Pacific region isn't just the largest market now. It's also clearly the primary driver of future growth, with China and especially India leading that charge with really impressive expansion.
So that leads us to a final thought, something for you to mull over.
Yeah, based on these projections we've discussed, what do these numbers really suggest about broader economic trends? Or about evolving cultural influences? Or maybe even about the enduring resilience of certain consumer goods, like lipstick, even in times of global change?
That's a great question. What specific factors, deep down, might explain such consistent, persistent demand for a product like lipstick across such incredibly diverse cultures and economies all around the world? Something to think about.
Okay, let's unpack this. Think about something like lipstick. It seems pretty simple, right? Everyday item, you put it on, head out. But what if I told you it's actually right at the center of this incredibly dynamic, really quite complex global market? A real sort of battlefield of trends, new tech, and shifting consumer values.
It's absolutely true. Yeah, on the surface, it's just makeup. But underneath, it's this fascinating mix, beauty, technology, and consumer behavior that's just changing so fast, strategic decisions happening constantly.
Exactly. And that's why today we're doing a deep dive into the global lipstick market. Our mission here really is to pull out the most important insights from the source material we've looked at. We want to give you, the listener, a kind of shortcut to understanding this vibrant industry. So we'll explore the forces shaping it, the growth drivers, the big trends, and yeah, even the challenges that keep companies on their toes.
It's pretty amazing how many different things influence something that feels so personal, isn't it? This market isn't just growing passively, it's being actively pushed forward by some really specific, powerful forces that are fundamentally changing how things work.
Yeah, and one of the biggest ones, you just can't ignore it, is the sheer power of celebrities and social media influencers.
Oh, definitely.
The people on Instagram, TikTok, they're actively promoting brands. And their endorsements, well, they do more than just boost visibility. They create this aspirational feeling that directly drives people to buy, especially younger consumers. But what's the real insight here? Is it just that old school ads are dead? Or is something deeper going on with trust?
I think it is a deeper shift in trust, yeah. Connecting it back, it's about building credibility almost instantly and
Yeah.
getting huge engagement. Our sources pointed to NARS collaborating with that fashion photographer Sarah Moon back in February 2024.
Yeah, I remember that one.
Right. They put out a limited edition collection and boom, a massive spike in brand engagement in their reach. It really shows how these big endorsements just cut through all the noise. They make a direct, often immediate impact. Influencers basically become these trusted tastemakers, paid ones, of course, but trusted nonetheless.
That really paints a picture of how fast trends can just ignite.
Wow. But that's not the only big current moving things, is it? Another major driver, and it's really changing the whole conversation, is the green shift. Environmental sustainability.
Mm-hmm.
Huge. Consumers today, they're just so much more aware of their ecological footprint. They want cruelty-free, ethically sourced, eco-friendly stuff. This isn't just a small segment anymore, right?
No, not at all. It's become a mainstream imperative, which, raises a big question for brands. How do they adapt genuinely? How do they avoid just greenwashing?
Good point.
This demand has really pushed the development of lipsticks with, natural, biodegradable ingredients and packaging designed to be sustainable. Think about Cordy expanding its CoverGirl Clean Fresh range, also in February 2024. Right, with the new shades.
Exactly. They introduced new shades, really emphasizing their commitment to vegan and sustainable beauty. It's a direct response to consumers wanting more conscientious choices. So the insight, I think, is that sustainability isn't just a nice-to-have marketing angle anymore. It's becoming fundamental. It impacts everything from formulation to the supply chain.
So, okay, you've got celebrity power and sustainability really pushing the market forward. But it seems like these powerful forces also create the market's biggest test, the agility challenge, you could call it. Because if trends could literally explode overnight, how on earth do brands keep up?
It's true. That's a huge restraint, the rapid changes in fashion trends. Consumer tastes for shades, finishes, textures. They can shift almost, seasonally, sometimes faster. What's hot one minute is suddenly outdated the next.
And what's the biggest headache that causes for brands trying to plan? I mean, forecasting demand must be incredibly difficult when things move that fast. Sounds like you need a really good crystal ball.
It's a massive challenge, yeah. For inventory management, for product development, for marketing strategies, everything. These quick shifts basically force manufacturers to stay exceptionally agile and to keep innovating constantly just to stay in the game. It's definitely an industry where if you stand still, you fall behind. The core insight, really, is that continuous innovation isn't just a way to get ahead here. It's basically the price of entry.
That's a really strong point. Table stakes, not an advantage. And as brands are grappling with those rapid shifts, it seems they're not just scrambling to keep up with color trends. They're actually redefining what lipstick is. It's moving way beyond just being a splash of color, isn't it?
Absolutely, yeah. A huge trend is this convergence, clean beauty merging with skincare. Consumers are really leaning towards vegan, non-toxic lipsticks, but they also want added benefits, like hydration, SPF, maybe even anti-aging ingredients.
Right, the multitasking lipstick.
Exactly. And alongside that, you're seeing a massive push for sustainable packaging. Things like refillable tubes, biodegradable materials becoming much more common. The Insight lipstick is becoming like an extension of your overall wellness routine, not just something superficial.
I find that fascinating, the lipstick doing double duty. But what really blows my mind is how much technology is changing things. How exactly is tech making the experience more personal for people? And I wonder, does that create tension with just making loads of product cheaply?
Oh, tech is playing a huge role. We're seeing AI-powered shade matching, for instance. Tech helps you find your perfect color without even physically trying it on.
Wow.
There's even development in 3D printed custom lipsticks. And of course, virtual try-on apps are everywhere now, especially for online shopping. And to your point about tension, yes, that's the big challenge. How do brands scale this super personal experience without losing the cost benefits of mass production? It really forces them to rethink their entire supply chains.
Yeah, a tricky balancing act for sure. So what does all this mean for who's buying this stuff? Are there new consumer groups or preferences really shaking up the traditional marketing playbook?
Definitely. Gen Z, for example, they have a really distinct preference for gender-neutral marketing, and they love bold, unconventional shades. That really challenges the old, often very gendered, assumptions of the beauty industry.
Mm.
And at the same time, you've got rising demand from emerging economies. People there are looking for what you might call affordable luxury, so high-quality products, but at a price point that's more accessible. The strategic insight there is pretty clear. Brands now need to cater to these wildly different demands, the desire for radical self-expression and the desire for accessible quality. It's not just one or the other anymore.
Sounds like a market that's just constantly adapting. But nothing probably tested its adaptability like the pandemic did. It
Yeah.
created a real paradox, didn't it? A disruption, but then a strange kind of rebound.
It absolutely did, yeah. Initially, COVID-19 was a major disruption. Lockdowns, people spending less. That led to a drop in cosmetic sales generally. And of course, face masks became the norm. So lipstick use just plummeted temporarily. People called it the lipstick index in reverse, you know?
Right, makes total sense. If your mouth's covered, why bother? But the market did bounce back. How did that happen? And what was this unexpected role that things like, well, Zoom calls played in the recovery?
Well, as restrictions started easing and people began socializing again, the market naturally started to recover. But what's really interesting is how virtual platforms actually created new reasons to wear makeup. People still wanted to, enhance their appearance, especially being on camera so much for work or virtual hangouts.
Ah, the Zoom effect.
Exactly. That combined with this broader move towards self-care and wellness that really took hold during and after the pandemic, it all encouraged this renewed interest in cosmetics. And that helped the industry stage a steady recovery. The unexpected insight, maybe, is that even when we weren't interacting physically as much, that desire for self-expression, for looking good in these new digital arenas, drove a surprising comeback for cosmetics like lipstick.
It really is a story of adaptation, isn't it? And innovation. So to kind of wrap things up, the global lipstick market is clearly in this really dynamic phase. It's all about innovation and responding to consumers. It's juggling celebrity power with environmental demands, navigating those crazy fast fashion shifts, embracing sustainability and digital tech, and ultimately it's about empowering self-expression in ways we probably haven't seen before.
Right. And that leads us to a final thought for you, our listener. Just consider how this very personal thing, choosing and wearing lipstick, is now so tightly connected to huge global movements. Sustainability, cutting-edge tech, evolving ideas about identity. It really makes you wonder, doesn't it? What other everyday products, things we use all the time, might be going through similar, really profound changes just beneath the surface?